You are watching Dr. Walls and Friends. Welcome back to Dr. Walls and Friends, here with Herman Davis. And as promised, I went and I had to pull up my tambourine
tambourine?
app. Yes.
I love it.
You know,
I love it. I love it.
Spreading peace and love and
Yes.
getting people to buy into it. I think that is just an incredible concept and one that we need so much
bad.
of now.
So bad. So bad. I was speaking with my wife last night. I as a man, I'm always trying to tell women how hard it is to be a black man, and just seeing this another kid
Yes.
gunned down.
Yes.
And they're protecting the officer by not giving his identity, which is probably the best thing,
Safest thing
right now. But how does this keep happening?
Right.
In 2014,
Right.
with a black president, which
Right.
doesn't mean anything. And are we free? You know what I mean? It's scary.
How many times are we supposed to hear this story?
How many times are we supposed to hear this story?
Right.
I mean, the next thing it's going to be nooses and burning crosses.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of times when I do sing, one of the songs that I find it necessary to sing is Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday. And a lot of people don't like that song because it does talk about the lynchings. And that's a song that she felt was necessary to sing at the end of all of her concerts.
Really?
Yes. Once it was brought to her, she read it, she sang it. She then began to close all of her concerts with that piece.
Really?
To raise the awareness that this is happening. And so if we talk about that time set then, and now we're talking social context, I mean, this is so prevalent. I think of Genesis 6. I think of, obviously we have Trayvon Martin and so
Sean
many
Bell.
others. Right.
It's so many others.
So many that go unnamed. And so it is important to raise the awareness of the violence that is still occurring. And this raised awareness is what we're talking, which is what led us to create the Healing Process series, which we're going to open up in October, on October 18th here in Philadelphia. And we're looking to do it at the Impact Hub. And we're just waiting on confirmation details. And so all of that information will be on my website, AskDrWalls.com.
Awesome.
But let's tell the people about this healing series and why, first of all, it came to you. Why you felt as though it was necessary to do this process, to do this healing series process, which then made you say, hey, let me call Dr. Walls and see what's going on.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah. Well, what I noticed is that when I tell the story of my sister being murdered, how old I was, at the time I was actually 14, getting ready to turn 15, and I was angry for years. That was 85. I was angry, and I was 80. It took me 20 years to stop being angry.
Okay.
34, I realized that I had to forgive him for what he did to my sister. And when I realized that I was holding so much anger, when I realized the weight that was lifted off of my chest, when I forgave him, and when I tell my story at the schools, or somebody hear my story and they be like, man, I don't know if I could have did that if I was you. I don't know if I could have forgave him. And that's what a lot of our communities is dealing with, still holding on to anger. You have generational anger in our communities, and where I noticed that really was in South Philly. And the history with South Philly is amazing. South Philly is actually the original part of Philadelphia for the African Americans. We had Penn's Landing. We were there. We got pushed out of there. Got pushed up on the other side of South Philly, and then we migrated out into Mount Airy, West Oak Lane, and Germantown to these other sections.
Interesting.
But the birth of us in Philadelphia is in South Philly, and you have some people in South Philly. But there's been generations, they've never left South Philly.
That's right.
Never left South Philly. They moved from 17th Street to 19th Street, from McCullen to Tasker. They stay in South Philly, and they move all around within South Philly. And South Philly is the hub, or the original the original place of Philadelphia.
How interesting! I didn't know that.
Yeah. And what's the book? Oh gosh, another brain fart. is it Dr. E.D. Du Bois? I forgot. One of the books is based on South Philly.
Okay.
The blacks in South Philly.
Okay.
I don't want to chop it up. So, but the history in South Philly is amazing.
It's rich.
Yeah. And I noticed it even more because my wife is from South Philly, and then I worked at Vare Middle School in South Philly. And just to hear the stories, you know, you'll have 25th Street warring against 27th Street, and they walk their blocks away.
Right.
You know,
right.
But the unique, the connection in South Philly is really deep because they'll be and they'll be at a concert at the Wells Fargo, and they'll South 27th Street and 25th Street will come together and fight somebody from Germantown, North Philly, but right after it's over, they're back at each other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So the connection that they have down there is deep.
It is very deep.
You know, but the anger in South Philly
is deeper.
And that anger is in North Philly, it's in West Philly, it's in Mount Airy, it's in Germany, it's in Philadelphia.
That's right.
It's in the world.
Yes.
So, you know, if I can help one person to understand the power of forgiving, I think that will lift up some of this anger that we have today.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And so the event that we're putting together, or the event rather that we're putting together that we're looking forward to doing on October 18th is to help raise the awareness of domestic violence and the impact that it has. And so when we started talking and planning, we started realizing that really it's many times giving a voice to the voiceless.
Correct.
Can you speak to that a little bit more for the people?
Correct. Yeah. Just the kids, just the parents, just the ones that you don't take in consideration or you don't even think that's being affected by it.
Yeah.
The domino effect by that is amazing, and you don't realize it. You know, and I'll speak for myself. I can speak for my father who found my sister. You know, who knows how many times he still visualized walking into the house and seeing his daughter laying in that tub of water.
Yes.
You know, the kids, my niece and my nephews, they're in their 30s now, but they still suffer from the loss of their parents because they lost two parents at one time.
That's right.
Father off to serve life prison, mother dead.
That's right.
You know, and they still suffer from that effect. You know, and my mom always says no parent should have to bury their child. You know, so what my mom is dealing with, my mom's faith is she's really strong in her faith, but you know, it doesn't mean that it doesn't still hurt at times.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
For my nephew, one day we were doing a school here in Philadelphia, and my nephew said, "Can you imagine not knowing what your mother's voice sounds like?" And he was so young, he don't have that memory of what my sister sounds like.
Yes.
And sometimes I fight when I forget what my sister's voice sounds like, and I have to let it go.
Yeah.
You know, so the you know, speaking for the voice of the voiceless is deep.
Yes, it is.
It's deep.
And it's interesting that you say that because a lot of times people hold on to that anger and they hold on to that grief because they don't want to let things like that go. They don't want to let the voice that they remember go of the person, the image that they have, because I work with a lot of children and I've worked with a lot of children that have dealt with grief and loss from traumatic situations, from illness and things like that where they've lost parents, and they go, but if I stop being sad, then I'll forget what they look like. And then forgetting what they look like makes them feel sad or makes them feel angry or forget the voice. So it is, forgiveness is such a very complex thing to do.
It's not easy.
No.
Oh no, it's not. I was angry. I mean, you know, I you know, of course, at that age, I grew up in that was the crack era. So you know, I was very connected to the crack era. A lot of my friends sold drugs. Of course, I played a part in it, and it was like, you know, we're gonna kill him because at that time we thought that he got life without parole. With parole, 20 years. We thought that 20 years he would be getting out.
Okay.
And again, at that time, this was like, you know, this was prime JBM time. So a lot of, you know, knowing those guys, being connected to those guys, their fathers and uncles were in Gratisford prison. They were in prison where this guy that murdered my sister was at. So, you know, he could have got killed for a carton of cigarettes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And my uncle, I have uncles that was very connected to all of that, that world. And, you know, my mother and father, They had people come to them wanted to kill him, and my mom and dad said no, don't, and I was angry at them for not letting that happen. I didn't understand it.
Right.
So he could have got killed for carton cigarettes, and then the older I grew, was like, no, he get out 20 years. I'm gonna kill him myself and look him in his face. Even having the anger against his brother.
Right.
I wanted to kill his brother so he would know what my loss felt like.
Right.
Which I never touched his brother, did anything like that, because it wasn't his brother's fault.
Right.
And then the older I got, I realized that I had to let it go.
That's right.
I had to let it go. Because on my day of judgment, I want to beg for God to forgive me for what I've done wrong. Maybe I didn't take life, but I still have done some things probably unpleasing to God.
Right.
So I learned how to forgive.
And it's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process.
An ongoing process. So let's take a pause there, because when we have this event on the 18th, there's going to be several different components. Different people will be talking to that day. And I want to give the audience a little taste as to why they should come.
Absolutely.
And be there that day. So We'll be back shortly.